Christopher Wallace, also known as Notorious B.I.G, straight out of Brooklyn, one of Brooklyn's finest. He was born May 21st, 1972. That makes him a Gemini, and he's an air sign. The sign Gemini begins on May 21st and ends on June 21st. B.I.G being an air sign, that means compatible with other air signs, which are Libras and Aquarius. But with him being a Gemini, he's gonna be cool with Geminis as well. But however though, there may be tight clashes because they'll have too much in common, they'll be too similar, you know what I mean? You saw that hard clash of him and Faith Evans, they got a divorce, but especially of him and Tupac. See that whole East Coast and West Coast thing and that beef and how it all started. But I'm not saying like, you know, when Geminis get together, like that's what's gonna be, but you know that it's a very intense frequency, the 21 to 16 when they get together. But with B.I.G being an air sign, he's also compatible with fire signs, which are Leos, Sagittarius, and Aries, which is definitely evident with him and Little C's, who's a fire sign. He was born on August 20th. He's a Leo. And what's interesting about the number 20, it's a number of unique intelligence and consciousness. So with B.I.G being around him, you know, he picks up that vibration, which contributes, you know, to his skill set, especially with him being born on the 21st, which is the number of the mind. So it kind of increases his dynamics a lot. So it's kind of interesting. And you also see this compatibility with him and Jay-Z, you know, who's a Sagittarius. And not to mention, Sagittarius and Geminis are opposition of each other. So in many ways, they have a lot of dynamics where they're very similar, but at the same time, they have tight clashes. And this is because of the 6 frequency that combines them, but at the same time confuses them. But however though, like I always say, the number 6 at the end of the day is a number of love. And it's definitely gonna be a number of love, and you're always gonna feel that bond with your opposition. But at times though, you're gonna feel that confusion, like, yo, what the hell happened? But however though, because that 6 has such a high vibration with love, at the end of the day, it's always gonna be about that versus the confusion. And you're probably wondering, where did the 6 come from? Like, how did this have this conflict to create this opposition, but still create a lot of love too at the same time? Well, you could definitely see this 6. If you minus within the chart, like your 12th month of Sagittarius with the 6, it gives you the 6th month of Gemini. But this goes throughout. If you were to add that 6 with that 6th month of Gemini, it gives you back that 12th month of Sagittarius. And this goes throughout the whole chart. Pay attention closely. If you're to observe Capricorn and Cancers, which are opposition of each other, the 1 plus that 6 will give you the 7th month of July. But if you're to minus that 7 with the 6, it gets you back that 1 month of Capricorn. So you see that dynamic all throughout. You guys can calculate it for yourselves if you want. But it's also interesting with the 2 of them, you see how similar they are. Though I see that 6 frequency, meaning like, this seems like at times they had like this friendly rivalry, I guess, many times. Like, they didn't always seem like tight like that. But because they had so much similarities, being both born in Brooklyn, both writing off the top of their heads and not writing with pen and pad, and they're both being very versatile because they're both mutable signs. So that means they can switch their flows up and their patterns all the time. So it always seemed like they were alike in many ways, you know, like that Ken and Ryu kind of about thing. That's kind of, yeah, that's exactly what it is, like a Ken and Ryu thing. Oppositions, there you go, you got a metaphor for it. Yeah, metaphor, Ken and Ryu, oppositions. Shall we use it?
Perfect.
And no, I didn't time that part. And also, like I was saying before with Biggie, being a mutable sign, you know, when he rhymes, you know, his skill sets is gonna have a lot of versatility to it, you know, it's never gonna be dull. And I always say that about mutable signs. You know, like any beat you give them, like the person, especially with Biggie, you know, he'll just have his own type of pattern, his own flow to it, and it's not gonna be predictable. You know, and that's what you're gonna see in mutable signs, like people like Jay-Z or Nas, you know, who are mutable signs. That's just a dynamic that they have, and that's what makes them really good in hip-hop. And also, Biggie being a Gemini, he's ruled by the planet Mercury, and Mercury is all about expression, communication, which you definitely see with Biggie. You know, when he's spinning his bars, it's very clear, very precise, and it has a lot of expression and charisma to it, which Geminis are known for. But you also gotta realize too, remember with Biggie, he's born around the cusp of Taurus, so a lot of that Venus energy is also ruling him too, which he also can see, you know, with his charm, how he spits like one more chance, you know, he has like that charm to him, that swag, which Taurus are known for, being that's ruled by the planet of love. So of all these different combinations, you see why he moved the way he does. And speaking about B.I.G, Biggie, all that, it's interesting because he's ruled by Taurus, and Taurus, is ruled by the bull. And the bull, you see, obviously, it's big and it's solid. And most people who are Taurus, they tend to be very big, solid, and strong too. Obviously, you can see like The Rock, Busta Rhymes, for example. But also, not to mention though, this also complements his tonality as well. People who are Taurus, they're more heavy with their tone. So when Biggie spits, it has more strength to it versus like a Gemini born in June. And when you see the symbol of a bull, right, you see like the one thing that sticks out is their nose. There's like a flair to it. So there's a heaviness there. So you'll see people like Heavy D, who's a Gemini, but he's born in May. But also Lauryn Hill, Remy Ma, you see they have like extra strength to their voice. And even Andre 3000, is more smooth with it, but you can hear in his tone like he talks with his nose. So that's what you're gonna get for a Gemini that's born in May versus June. And I'm not saying all Taurus, have deep voices. You obviously can see the ones that have like high pitches like Meek Mill, DJ Academics, or Ace Hood. But however though, overall you do bump into a lot of Taurus that tend to be pretty reserved and have a lot of strength in their voice. You know what I'm saying? Like The Rock, Designer, or Craig Mack, to just to name a few. There's definitely exceptions, with Geminis born in June though, however, especially the one with the 6th frequency, like Tupac, he has a very strong, powerful voice because he's born 16, and you see that 6 within the 16. But also of Ice Cube's born at 15, but that 1 + 5 is a 6, which is ruled by Taurus. So you see the exceptions, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part though, Geminis born in June tend to have more animated voices, like you can see like Macklemore or Kendrick Lamar, Trippie Redd, or Kodak Black. They just have like a very unique voice where it's very animated and very free, like an air sign. But when you get in that mix of the cusp energy, you'll see it's more deep because they talk more with their nose in that aspect. But with Biggie being born, off that cusp of Taurus, having that energy with him, one thing that's gonna be evident, he's gonna know how to attack the mic and go really hard with it. Cause when you look at the bull, what do? They charge. And that's what you're gonna see with a lot of Taurus rappers like Meek Mill, Busta Rhymes, Ace Hood. You see how they attack the mic and they keep going and going with a lot of strength. So Gemini's born in May, they're gonna possess the same endurance. And this is definitely evident, of Lauryn Hill, from Fuji. You see how she was represented. And also Remy Ma, her and all her battle raps, she doesn't stop. When she was going against Nicki Minaj, she really went in. So they're just gonna have that energy, of that bull energy within them, even though the Geminis, but also be very unique and versatile too, because that's what Geminis are known for since they're immutable signs. So they have the best of both worlds in that dynamic. So with this being in mind, Biggie was pretty gifted, to be born off that cusp, because with the cusp of him having that Taurus energy to him, he's gonna really stand out for a lot of strength because of that Taurus energy, but also he's gonna be unpredictable because Geminis are just very charismatic and they think off the top of their heads, especially them being in opposition to Sagittarius. So they pick up that strength of just thinking off the top of their heads a lot of times too. So you gotta keep that in mind. But Biggie, being born on the 21st, being ruled by fire, which is mutable, and he's a mutable sign. This is why I say, people born, May 21st, I feel they're more Gemini versus Taurus, because he has that compliment right there. And also, Biggie being ruled with that Taurus energy, though he's a Gemini, one thing that's gonna stand out is his coolness, with earth signs, having that earth energy to him, that element, he's gonna be really down to earth and really cool, and people are just gonna wanna be around him and just feel his whole presence and ambiance, Like you check like a Mr. Farrakhan, Malcolm X, who are both Taurus, they just have this aura about them where they could always be cool and steady. So they're not always gonna come off like a Gemini born in June where they look really conflicted, At times, they always say like Gemini's born in June, like very two-faced, but you won't get that of like May Geminis. People tend to always want to be around them, If you're in the industry, people always have positive things to say about Andre 3000, Remy Ma, or Lauryn Hill. So the same also goes with Biggie too, They just have that coolness because of that Taurus energy to them. I'm gonna talk more about B.I.G being born the 21st and make a little bit more emphasis, with him being immutable. And plus I got a little surprise to add on to that. Definitely. But thank you guys. I'm about to pardon that. Actually, I got a new name, Starting this YouTube channel, I gotta give you guys a good name, so I gotta say my inner lights, Shout out to all my inner lights out there. Thank you for tuning in to The Star in You. We did it, y'all, for Brooklyn. Brooklyn's finest, B.I.G. Salute, R.I.P. 2019, we here, The Star in You. Be your best out there, work hard, prosper, be around the right energy, keep aligned, keep in tune, always. And remember, let your inner light shine.